Welcome back. We're talking kids with Dr. Caitlin this morning with Lexington pediatrician Dr. Caitlin Iddings. Today's topic is over THC use in teens and how it could significantly alter the brain's long-term attention and memory. So what recent studies have shown how this can alter the teen's brain, long-term attention and memory?
Yeah, so there's been some pretty good longitudinal studies lately where they basically have taken teenagers who have never used marijuana per report and then compared their MRIs to teenagers who have started use at a young age, so usually in their 12, 13, early teen age. And then, 5 years later, compared the brains again, and what they see is that especially the area of the prefrontal cortex, which is the area that's responsible for memory making, impulsivity, multiple things in life, is actually much thinner in the people who are using at least 2 times a week or more, which we know unfortunately a lot of teenagers heavily use if they start to use marijuana. And so it really is one of those things where we're learning a lot more, especially as certain states are starting to legalize it for medical use and recreational use, that I always tell people kids are not just small adults. Their physiology is different, they're still growing and developing. So, when you're 25, your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. When you're 15, you still have 10 years of that developing that you can be doing that damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 22. That could still affect my long-term memory. Yeah. And so what should you do if you suspect that your teen is using THC?
Yeah, so usually we're supposed to, as pediatricians, be asking those screening questions. The AAP does recommend that you have the parent step out of the room. Not that, some kids are very forthcoming with their parents and their parents know a lot of things. Some are not. And so having them step out of the room so you can ask those specific questions about use, frequency of use, making sure, I always kind of stress to kids and parents, if someone was saying they were using alcohol heavily every day, you would call them an alcoholic if it was causing dysfunction. Yes. So, a lot of kids tend to think, well, oh, marijuana is pretty, benign. It actually helps me feel less anxious. And that's not what the studies show. The studies show that long-term use of marijuana, especially in teenage kids, actually leads to increased levels of anxiety, depression. It can cause your first psychotic break for someone who may ultimately end up being schizophrenic. We don't know why that is, but we know it is a well-known phenomenon. And so a lot of our people are like, oh, well, it's the only thing that helps me calm down. But then they're not really willing to take any other kind of medicine.
Exactly,
The other thing is it's not really regulated, so you don't know how much you're getting. We're getting these edibles that have such higher potency rates than anything that, our parents or grandparents used to have available back 50, 60, 70 years ago. And so it really can be something that you need to, have an open conversation with your kid if you suspect that they are using. Just, not being judgmental, but just saying, look, is this something that you would like to get help for? And a lot of teenagers do seek help for this. And of all of the people that are in substance rehab facilities or getting therapy, about 55% of those are THC users. And so there are lots of therapists out there who are good at helping kids kind of learn how to back off on this, how to stop this, how to, cope with life without having to do this. That sort of thing.
Absolutely. And do you have anything else that you would like to add or want parents or kids to know about THC use?
Yeah, and so the big thing, like I said, is we don't really know the long-term effects on the teenage brain. We're starting to learn more and more. There may be, there are certain medical uses for marijuana in kids even, but those are things that we need to continue to rigorously study and see the long-term effects as well. And so just emphasizing to them that, your brain is still developing. I wouldn't give my 13-year-old alcohol. I wouldn't encourage them to do marijuana either, even if it's more readily available, even if it becomes legalized.
Okay, well, good to know. Thank you so much for being here. Stay with us. You're watching ABC 36 News. We will be right back after this break.